Hello there, Agnieszka. Thank you for sending these in, and sorry for the slight delay. That was due to a mix-up at my end. This is Andrew, by the way, one of the team here at IELTS Podcast, IELTSpodcast.com once again. These look great. I'm having a quick look over before delving in. Bit of a summary. I would say, what's the word count on these actually? So if I copy this over, we can see that you've only got 231 words in your answer. And for a task 2, the question states, will always state, write at least 250 words. It's always advisable to go for the 250 to 280 range, just to make sure you get enough in. But it is important to balance that with accuracy. So we mustn't use too many words. We must use enough to describe what we're talking about properly. But let's pop back over. So given that this is under the word count, in the task and achievement section of the mark scheme, you would be marked down quite considerably, because the question would say, write at least 250 words. And in task and achievement, in order to score above sort of the 5-6 level, you have to fulfill every single thing that the question asks of you. It's a test of how well you understood what was being asked of you and how well you could answer that. But let's jump in anyway. So in future, just be aware of your word count and try and make sure that we get to at least 250 in a task 2, and it's at least 150 for a task 1. But the issue of copyright laws has grown in importance year by year. I would leave that as one sentence. I think that's great. And then we could say, in the internet era, when messages can be delivered instantaneously all over the world, many benefits. Confused myself there. So maybe a comma then. Due to the advances in technology or the internet era, as messages can be delivered instantaneously all over the world. Despite all the benefits which can be achieved from sharing knowledge, it should not be forgotten that people have the right to be rewarded for using their special abilities or their talents. Special abilities is a bit vague, so I would stick to talents. And then also spaces only after the punctuation, not before. So this full stop should touch this S. This essay will show how important this law is, using examples from business and the industrial world. And again, no space. Primarily, this is ample evidence that copyright law protects music composers. So it doesn't protect music composers from using their own work without permission. So what we're trying to say in this paragraph is that they have a talent and that it should be rewarded, and that there are royalties, and that you're essentially saying that it works as an incentive, that the very fact that they can make money is why they do it every day. If that wasn't there, what would happen? But the topic sentence, how you introduce this paragraph, should give a general overview of the idea that you're about to present, or at least the area of the idea you're about to present. It doesn't have to say anything in particular. Because when you say that something is ample evidence for something, there should be something else before here that it's ample evidence for. So we can't really use this strong statement here at the start, because you're not actually giving evidence for anything previous. So we should have a general topic sentence. Let's go with, if you wanted to make a strong statement, actually, you could say, it is clear that copyright laws protect the rights of composers to profit from their work or from their creative endeavors, or whatever it is you want to say, but it is clear that copyright law protects the rights of composers to profit from their work. And then we would delve in a little bit further, so then we can say, someone who has worked hard at a talent deserves to be rewarded. For example, you could say then, for example, copyright law permits artists to receive royalties. Royalties are what you're referring to here about gratification. When someone receives payment for the use of their song on the radio, TV, or internet, they get a royalties payment. So we can say copyright laws permit artists to receive royalties for the use of their songs or their work on radio, TV, and internet. Therefore, they can commit to their craft, or they can continue working without having to worry about, or that they can earn a fair. What's good there? Therefore, they can be fairly compensated without having to worry about money or money for daily expenses. That bit's great. You finish up on the end. But what we need to do there is make sure that we have this smooth idea running all the way through. You have stuck to the acronym here. I see exactly the structure. That's great. Well done for that. But what we need is just to smooth the idea through a little bit. I think with a few more essays, a bit more practice, we're going to get there quite quickly. It's not going to take too long at all. So let's jump into the second paragraph. Secondly, copyright law you're talking about rewarding innovation. So I can see you're giving two positive paragraphs. You're giving an argument for and an argument for, because you strongly agree, essentially, that copyright laws reward creativity. So I can see that you have a clear view. So in task and achievement, that would do very well. But we need to use some simpler and more varied sentences. So here I would refer to maybe how copyright law incentivizes innovation. Full stop. Inventors and entrepreneurs there we go, yeah. Inventors and entrepreneurs require, or often require, many, many years or many attempts to succeed in their endeavors. For example, one of the most famous inventors, because you put investors as well, it's inventors. So for example, one of the most famous inventors, Thomas Edison, made more than 2,000 experiments before he invented a bulb. You could say he conducted over 2,000 experiments. And then you could expand this as well. Therefore, it is clear that rewarding efforts such as these for a sustained period of time does produce benefits. There's always chance at the end just to reassert yourself if you're a bit low on word count. But there we go, we smoothed over those. So to conclude, There should be strong rules and regulations protecting human skills and abilities so they can create more, I would say, or they can, knowing that they will be fairly compensated or they will receive decent payment for their work. Yeah, that's cool. So yeah, listen to the suggestions of the sentences that I gave you for your body paragraphs and the suggestions for expansion. Don't worry too much if it sounds like a lot. Over the next few essays, it will just get easier and easier and easier. The whole point of doing this repeatedly is to make sure that when you go to proofread your work in the future, you'll actually know what a mistake looks like, and it will help you considerably. But let's move on. So here is your task 1. I'll just run through and make some suggestions for you. The bar chart shows the source of calories for males or men. So the plural of man is men, M-E-N. There is no mans. So the bar chart shows the sources of calories for men or males living in the UK. You don't need a capital there. We could say in different periods of their life, or over 3 different age ranges, but I would stay away from using colons in any of the writing. They're just not necessary. If you're writing something like in different life periods such as, or in different periods of their life such as, you don't actually need any punctuation there. You could just say in 3 different age groups, comma, or just such as 0 to 24 years, 25 to 40. And you don't need respectively either, because you're not referring back to anything. You can just, this is a plain list. It doesn't need to have a respectively at the end. So during the first years of life and up to the age of 24, 45% of the calories, or 45%, yeah, that's okay actually, 45% of calories come from dairy products. So again, don't use this. Stick to commas. 3 other groups, meat, pulses, and vegetables, have similar parts. This is not quite right, but let's think of a better word. You could say the 3 other groups, meat, pulses, and vegetables, were consumed similarly at 20%, 18%, and 20% respectively. This is a correct use of respectively, because you have this list to refer back to. Dum dum dum, bum bum bum, 3 and 3. That's great. In the middle group, you don't need the brackets, you could just use commas. In the middle group, age 25 to 40, the most popular calorie source, or the most popular source of calories, becomes meat. No space. Can't quite make sense of this. And again, I think the colon tends to confuse me a little bit as well when I hit it. So this needs to be reworded. You could say the most popular choice of sustenance, or the most popular calorie source, became or becomes meat at 50% of intake, full stop. And then this, the consumption of other sources decreased for this group, dairy to 25%, pulses to 10%, and vegetables to 15%. That would be better. In the oldest group, pulses became the most popular intake for calories, or the most popular sustenance. Their percentage, or their share, you don't use both, but you could say their percentage grew dramatically, or their share grew dramatically, or up to 65%. consumption of meat decreased to more than half its original value at 20%. In this group, there is also a slight decrease in the consumption of other products, to 15% in dairy and 10% in the consumption of vegetables or vegetable consumption. Overall, in every group, there is one different most popular food product. We'd say that it is clear that each age group has a strong preference. The younger for dairy, the middle-aged prefer meat, and the elderly prefer pulses. Whereas the consumption of vegetables does not really fluctuate, or does not fluctuate much, or does not fluctuate significantly, actually is a better word. So yeah, it's mostly about smoothing out some of your sentences. If you just go back over and listen to the corrections, when we've done this a few times, you'll find that you're able to spot your own errors much quicker, and you just sort of work through it. But well done for getting these over. I have enjoyed correcting your work once again, and I look forward to your next essays, which are attached. If you could send a corrected version of each of these, your error list, and the new essays in a single email to us, then I will speak to you very soon. Thanks a lot, Aga. Bye.